Good morning, Trucker Todd here, and time for another video. If you saw my last video, I talked about the very first trucking company that I ever worked for, Swift Transportation. If you didn't see that video, go back and check it out. I talked about how it was back then and how it is now. Next, today I'm going to talk about the very first lease purchase I ever did, and actually the second trucking company I worked for. I actually worked for Swift for 4.5 years, and then next I went to Prime Inc. in Springfield, Missouri. Now, at that point my truck driving experience was kind of sheltered. I had done over the road for a year, and then I got on a dedicated deal for the last 3.5 years where I was home every day. Lease purchase was kind of a new idea back then, and Swift required a large down payment to get into theirs, and Prime did not. It was no credit check, zero down, and at that time they had super nice equipment. Now it seems like it's kind of hit and miss. They have some trucks that are really nice, and some trucks are what I would call average. But back then it was top of the line equipment. As far as Freightliners go, nice trucks, with also really expensive payments to go with it. But the trucks ran 75, and I had come from Swift where my truck ran 60. So it was an exciting time and something to try something new that I hadn't done before. So I'm going to tell you all about it and give you my take on how they've changed over the years. This was back in 2001, so we're talking 20 years ago. And we'll take a look at how they've changed over the past 20 years. So stay with me, here we go.
And this is why I do this, why I'm out here, why I keep that hammer down. Flying by these road signs with home on my mind, with these wheels turning round. For my family and for my kids, for this life I wanna live. This is why I do this.
Alrighty, and we're back. Make sure and give this video a thumbs up. Share it on your social media platforms. Speaking of social media platforms, if you look in the description below, there's a lot of great information, including my email, my Instagram, my Facebook, things like that. And so you'll want to check those things out. You guys know I'm currently at Dart Transit and pretty happy there. If you guys would like to know more information about going to work there, shoot me an email. If you're going to contact Dart directly on your own, please tell them you've been watching my videos, and give them my driver number, 58180. Again, that's 58180. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And so anyway, let's get into today's topic. Back then, Prime did have a training program. It was my first time to pull a reefer. They didn't give me any training at all on the reefer. And it was weird because I went to pick up my first load, and I didn't know how to set the reefer, how to do nothing. I actually found another driver where I picked up my first load and told him, hey, it's my first load pulling a reefer. Can you show me how to use this thing? He gave me a 5-minute class on start, stop, and continuous, and how to set it and what to check. And after that, I was on my way, and I did fine after that. But there wasn't really any formal training in orientation about how to work the reefer. I found myself running the Northeast a lot, and I didn't particularly care for it, as most of you don't. They had a deal they did back then. They paid 72% of the load, I think it was, and they were serious about that. They paid 28% of the tolls, and you paid 72%. Everything was split right down the middle. As I said previously, the trucks ran 72, and I made okay money. There was a couple of things that were mostly my fault for why I didn't do really good there. For one, they would advance you 10 cents a mile, and I always took the advances, and in comparison to now, I usually take one advance a month or something like that. DART will allow you $40 a day, and I'll usually take one if I'm needing some cash to do laundry out on the road or something like that, because it is cheaper than an ATM fee. So if I'm getting fuel, I'll get the $40 cash advance, and I'll usually ask the cashier for a couple of rolls of quarters, and then I've got some quarters for when it's time to do laundry. But I never do it as I'm dependent on it as a form of payroll like I did back then. Also, I didn't understand freight lanes and things like that, so I didn't really have a lot of control over that. They treated you a lot like a company driver when it came to dispatching. They didn't control your home time, but in a way they did, because they would just say, oh, we don't have nothing right now. They also did another deal, and I was trying to remember the exact amount. I think it was 90 cents a mile. Every 100,000 miles, they would settle up, and if your percentage didn't equal up to 90 cent a mile average, they would make up the difference. Well, the problem with that was they would give you several good paying loads, and then they would give you some loads. I saw some at 50 cents a mile, and they would say, well, it all equals out. And I asked them one time, I said, do they ever do that with your pay? I said, do you come up here and some weeks work for free and other weeks get paid? And they say, oh, well, it all equals out. And they're like, no, I get paid the same every week. Exactly. I don't come out here to all equal out, or sometimes make money and sometimes make no money. Hauling a load at 50 cents a mile, I figured it out. That load, it picked up in like Boston or somewhere and went over out west. I think it went to Chicago, and I was losing like $140 a day pulling that load. And I told them, I said, how do I ever make that back? And of course, that's just the mantra that they were taught to preach. Later, Prime went to a different deal. They went to, your truck started off at 70. And then if you went to a class, they had a safety class, and it was a long class, like 6 or 8 hours, where they told you the evils of speeding and how your fuel economy would drop and all of that. Then they would increase you to 75. And now trucks are set at 64. And the thing I've noticed that's changed about Prime over the years is, back when I was there, they were kind of a trucking company for a guy to get his foot in the door of being an owner-operator that also had a training program. Now they're a trucking company that is almost completely focused on training. And they have their own school. They encourage their students straight out of school to lease a truck, which I think is setting a guy up for failure. And so I don't like that practice. I think that, if I didn't know freight lanes after 5 years of driving, a guy that's been driving 3 or 4 weeks surely doesn't know freight lanes. I just think it's a lot to put on a guy. Now, they do have a company driver program, and if a person was going to go there, that would be what I recommended. Their facilities in Springfield, Missouri are super, super nice. Years and years ago, when they built that building, I was told back then it was over $7 million. There's no telling. I think he built it in the late 90s or early 2000s. There's no telling what it would cost nowadays to build a duplicate building. But anyway, that is my take on those guys. They are definitely, I said Swift would be in my top 5 places I'd probably consider working. Prime is not. I said they're mostly gearing for students, and they want you to go through their lease program. That Volvo I've got coming, if I was going to lease it to them, they'll only accept trucks that are up to 3 years old. And there's some reasons for that. they would tell you it's for mechanical breakdowns. I would tell you that they want you under a payment, so you've got to run a lot harder than you do if you've got your truck paid off. Most companies that are on the up and up will allow you a truck that's 10 years old. And so that's my take on them. I can't really give them a recommendation. Now, I've got friends that work there that make good money and they're happy there. I know me personally, when I worked there, because of the high overhead, if I even thought about going going home, I was in the hole 6 or 8 weeks. It took forever to climb out of the hole. And so that's what I've got to say about them. And as I said earlier in the video, a lot of it was my fault. I just didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time. I think now if I went there, I could probably do good, but I don't know if I could handle the micromanagement and doing 64 miles an hour. It's one thing if I do that on my own accord because I want to and I'm trying to save fuel. It's another thing if a company tells me that's all I can do. And another thing I want to tell you about those guys is they don't really set up the program for you to pay the truck off. And what do I mean? Well, every month at DART, they release a list of drivers that paid their trucks off and got the title. It's a common occurrence to pay a truck off here at DART. Now, I realize there's a lot of guys that don't make it to the end for whatever reason, personal problems, or maybe they got a lemon or something like that. But there's several guys every month that pay their truck off. I'll bet, and I may be wrong, I don't know the exact numbers, I bet DART has more guys that pay their truck off in a month than what Prime does that pay theirs off in a year. And I mean, some of their balloon payments at the end are 60, 70, even more, $1,000. And most of your drivers aren't going to be able to save that much money over 2 or 3 years. They've got families, things like that. I'm sure if a guy was single with no bills at home and just ran, he might could save the money. But a lot of their trucks, and I realize they have other stuff now, a Freightliner that's, 3 or 4 years old, got those miles on it, is it going to be worth that kind of money? Probably not. And so you should plan on, if you go to work there, probably having a lease payment for your entire duration there. Now, they used to have a lease completion bonus, and you'd get a few $1,000s back at the end of your lease. I don't know if they still have that or not. As I said, they're not on my short list of companies I would consider right now, so I haven't contacted them directly. I've just gone off what some friends have told me that worked there. So I'm going to wrap this video up. It's already gone a little longer than I want to. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.